I want to talk to you today about the idea that dreams are ordinary. They're an ordinary part of our existence. So, why would I say that? Well, if you go back over 5,000 years, the Sumerians were documenting their dreams, the Egyptians did it 4,000 years ago. Pretty much every major religion talks in some way about the dream world, and we find it clearly in a lot of indigenous cultures. But what was interesting to me is that I found a historical reference recently about Abraham Lincoln. And Lincoln apparently had a dream about his assassination a few weeks before it occurred. It's a prophetic dream, and that's why it made its way into the history books. But we have to sort of notice that if he remembered that dream, talked about that dream to other people, he talked about his dreams. He remembered his dreams. He grew up in a culture where people remember their dreams as an ordinary part of their experience. Now, the problem we have in our culture today is, on the one hand, there's been the fracturing of our sense of consciousness, which I've talked about in another video on consciousness, as well as this love affair with our brain. And look, brain's a great thing. Thinking is a great thing. Cognition is really, in many ways, what separates us from all the other mammals in the world. At least to some degree, we think. But thinking in and of itself presents a problem. I have a good friend and teacher named Evan Hopkins, and he once said to me, the ego needs to be the gardening tool of the soul. And another way we might say that is thinking needs to be the gardening tool of the soul. What does a gardening tool do? It helps things grow. It cultivates. It actually acts in a way to allow something to manifest. And that's really the dynamic between the dream world and the waking world. Spirit is really the mediator there, and spirit always wants to manifest. Another way of saying it is imagination wants to manifest. Our dreams are imagination. When we go back into our dreams, we even use something called active imagination. So the pitch I'm making with this video is that it would be useful for us to see our dreams as ordinary. I come from a culture way, way back, Celtic culture, that had this concept of anamcara. Anamcara is Gaelic. It means soul friend. Now, when we read history, it seems like, well, wait a minute, the anamcara maybe was the early priest or some elder in the tribe, and that may well be true. But when you look at the culture itself, it's unlikely that people were bringing their dreams and saying, what does this mean? It's more likely that soul friend, the word friend, means more of an equal. It's more likely that what we were seeing in those times is the same thing we're seeing now in the coaching world, where people sit down and assume that the person they're listening to is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, naturally whole, meaning the dream world is part of their world. And they asked a bunch of questions and they listened. And you would say, well, what's so great about that? Well, actually, that's the point. It's incredibly simple and therefore incredibly profound. And it gives us access to what is really an ordinary experience in the human condition. We all dream. We all have the capability to dream. Now, whether we remember them or not is something else, and whether or not it resonates with us to use our dreams to really help us step into the next larger version of ourselves is open to discussion. I think I've mentioned I have clients that don't particularly use their dreams, and that's fine, but they're there, and they're ordinary. And I want to put that in context because I think we've gotten confused. We think dreams are extraordinary, where actually it's being human is extraordinary. And our dreams can help us appreciate and experience that extraordinary aspect of being human. It's not even an aspect, it's the totality of who we are. So my message to you is that when you go to bed tonight, I wish you a very ordinary experience. Take care.